A year after fleeing the military operation in Myanmar, the United Nations says 500,000 young Rohingya refugees are at risk of becoming a lost generation. Hundreds of thousands of Rohingyas continue to live in cramped and rudimentary camps in neighbouring Bangladesh. Many of those at risk are girls. Some become victims of sexual exploitation. Our correspondent Nick Beek sent this report from Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh.
She never thought life would look like this. A year ago, Sonjida was enjoying school in Myanmar. Today, she lives in a tiny shack in Bangladesh, in the world's biggest refugee camp. This 15-year-old orphan is now married and pregnant. Her husband is 66. He's rarely home. With no family and no money, Sonjida says no younger man would marry her.
When I was young, I never thought I'd marry an old man. Now I've had to marry one. I'm worried that now I'm carrying a baby. And I'm worried that this old man will die. And how then will I raise my child?
This was claimed to be the moment last August the Burmese army and Buddhist mobs unleashed fire on the Rohingya Muslims, a coordinated campaign of torture, rape and murder, say human rights groups, that forced hundreds of thousands to flee. Genocide is what many believe these young survivors witnessed. A year on, their makeshift shelters that were thrown together now have a depressing permanence. They may be fed by aid agencies, but they're not safe.
There are nearly 1 million Rohingya refugees still trapped in the camps here in Bangladesh. Half of them are children, and there's little sign of them being able to return home to Myanmar anytime soon. And so this sprawling city of despair is where a whole generation is being forced to grow up. And all around, there's danger, the weather, disease, and exploitation.
Day and night, my tears flow, Shakina tells us. She says she could only watch as the Burmese army murdered her husband. Her 13-year-old daughter then disappeared from the camp, thought to be abducted by traffickers.
What happened to my daughter? Nobody knows. Only Allah can say. I don't think I'll ever see her again. It's been 1 year. My daughter would have come back to me.
The crimes inflicted on the Rohingya last year are still destroying countless young lives. We meet a 15-year-old who goes by the name Rosina. She was forced into sex work after arriving in Bangladesh and says it's now the only way to survive.
I want nothing else but to go back to Myanmar. I want to get my country back. I've left lots of relatives there. I hate it here. I loved life in Myanmar. I want to go back and get married there and have a nice family. If I keep doing this, my life will be destroyed.
Aung San Suu Kyi's Myanmar claims it wants to bring these children back. Plenty doubt that. So the fear is they'll be forgotten and the dangers they face ignored. That the world simply accepts this precarious circle of life. Nick Beek, BBC News, on the Myanmar-Bangladesh border.